Hello, all my crafty people out there. It is time for our weekly project. If you haven't been here before, my name is Stephanie and I upcycle clothing. Generally things I purchase at my local thrift stores, and we either make new clothing or accessories. So this week we have this beautiful, bright scarf. It is a scarf. It is a very large scarf. Maybe more considered a wrap than a scarf, but it's pretty, it's bordered, and I think we can make something very useful with this. And all we need is 2 pieces of an old pattern that I've got. This is the pattern, and this may be a pattern that's still in print. I don't know. It's a Simplicity 4550. 4550, yes. It's a caftan, among other things. It's also got a blouse, pants, purse. I like to group it all together. But we only need 2 pieces of this to make what we're going to do today. So if you want to see what we're going to do, if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and don't forget to share. I'll see you at the table. Okay, everybody, here is our fabric. It is a scarf / wrap. The size would suggest a wrap because of it's 4 yards on one side and 88 inches on the other. So it's a big piece of fabric. It's all beautifully done. It's nothing fancy. There's no label on it. I think it's some kind of polyester, obviously. It's definitely man-made. But we're going to use this and make a caftan. It's a simple garment that's easy to make and super comfy to wear. I think anybody who's ever had one knows that. But I did not want to use a pattern. Don't really need a pattern. But I would like an easy way to make the neckline. So the only 2 pieces I'm using out of this entire pattern are the front and back facing of the neckline. That's it. We're going to cut 2 pieces. One on the fold here, one on the fold there. And I have some scrap fabric that I purchased a while back. I think the orange will work fine as far as an interior color. It won't be bold and in charge by any means. So that will work. And it's a lightweight poly cotton blend. Ooh, say that 5 times. And I think it'll work just fine for the lining. We're also going to use some of that interfacing we used on our last blouse because I liked it so much. Now you can no longer find it, or let me put it this way, I can't find it in the 1 yard pre-cut increments that I found it in. I can only find it by the bolt, but I still have some left from my last project that I'll be using. So let me get to cutting these pieces, and then we'll discuss how we're going to apply them and make our super easy caftan. Okay, I have ironed on the backing, which again, I'm loving this product, so I will link it in the comments. If I forget, y'all remind me. Thank you for reminding me last time. And I have serged all these sides except for the interior edge where I will sew it directly onto the fabric for the neckline. So what I need to do right now is finish this product. In other words, we're going to go over there and sew the shoulder seams, or what would be the shoulder seams on here, to make the complete circle. So let me take it over to the machine. I am going to use 5/8 inch just because it's what was used on the pattern. And I'm going to sew this seam and this seam, then we'll press them open and we'll start working on putting it on our other piece of fabric. Okay, I have folded the wraps / scarf in half on the short side, as you see all the way down there, and then also in half this way. So what does that give us? Our dead center point, which is what we need to put our collar on. So this, we're going to open it up. I've already ironed it so I can keep that crease visible. And I know which side's the wrong side as opposed to the right side. The spots are, well, for me, the spots are a little darker on this side. So we're going to open it, and we're going to have the right sides facing up, facing us. Put this down like this. We're going to use all of our table today. And there, I don't know if you can see it, but that's my center point. You can sort of see the creases there. And what we're going to do, right sides together, we're going to face this down and put it, and it doesn't matter if I point it this way or this way because this piece is even all the way around. I do want to go ahead and fold this though. I know where the center is at the point of the collar, but I want to make sure I get the center of this end of the collar. So I'm just going to do a little finger pressing. All right, so I know where the center is. Okay, now, first thing I found was easiest to do was to center this big pointy part. That's the front. And we want to center that over that crease. And then we want to kind of work with these pieces to make sure they end up in the right spot. As far as where the shoulder seams would be, now of course these aren't perfect because this doesn't slope. Now you could cut it if you wanted to, and re-stitch it together with a slope in the shoulder. That's completely up to you. It's not really the way I want to go with it. I'm looking for a little bit more ease. So I'm going to pin my shoulder seams right there. Just check them, make sure they're not too far off. Yep, looks good. Pin that one there. And then once I've pinned those, I'm going to kind of pin around. And of course, you'll have to do some turning, like of your fabric, to pin it completely because there's a turn, there's a curve there. And you want to make sure you catch it. Use as many pins as you want. I'm probably going to use quite a few in this particular situation because I don't want this puppy moving. And this fabric is kind of slinky. Okay, I've got it pinned on, and you do have to kind of curl this up to get it to lay flat enough on the fabric, but you want to make sure you get as few wrinkles in there as possible and it is flush, and that center point is as centered obviously to this neckline as possible. So what we're going to do is woo, it's been a long day. I'm going to go run a 5/8" seam allowance all the way around. I'm probably going to start at one of these joints and go down, up, and around. And then once we have sewn it in, we'll be able to cut this center out and push our neckline in and baste it down and probably do a top stitch on the outside to make it look nice and clean. Then we'll worry about closing up the sides. Okay, I just wanted to show this to you before I started sewing. I went ahead and marked down here the 5/8" seam allowance at a point. That way I won't be guessing. You know, a lot of times you sew down as far as you can, then you turn it and it's not far enough. This will tell me exactly how far down I need to sew. And I'm going to do the 5/8" seam allowance all the way around this neckline. And you see how it bows up like this? That's okay. That's fine. This part is flat, that's bowed up. If it was the other way around, that'd be fine too. So we're going to sew around, and then we'll cut out this middle. And when we're cutting out the middle, we'll go ahead and trim this seam allowance at the same time. And then we'll finish our neck by turning it in and top stitching down the top. Okay, we have our collar sewn on all the way around, and I did some double stitching down here because that's that delicate point that we're going to have to cut real close to get it to lay properly. Anytime you got a point. So we're going to be brave. I'm going to put my hand underneath this layer of fabric in between. Make sure my hand is right there underneath this hole we're going to create. I'm going to snip into it. I'm going to snip over here to the edge. And I'm just going to start cutting. Hard to see right there. I'm just going to start cutting. I'm going to cut this big piece out first. Just because this is kind of flimsy. So we'll just cut it out. Make it easier for us to cut the seams. I know this looks messy, but we're just trying to get this pretty much the hole created. All right, there's our centerpiece. Now, I'm just going to start up here. I'm going to make sure, like again, that I have my hand underneath here. And I'll snip to the seam. I'm going to probably cut about 1/4 inch away from the seam. And we will probably do some clipping too. But this gives us a dual opportunity. Keep your hand under there. And I'm going to finish cutting around and then we'll top stitch. Okay, I have turned it all inside and just pinned it. I usually wouldn't pin it, but I just want to make an easier time of sewing around it. I am going to top stitch this on the outside as opposed to just doing an understitch because I just want it to be crisp and done. So I'm going to run a small top stitch around the edge of the neckline. Then we'll start working on the sides, and I did make some ties to go inside of it. Okay, last leg. What we're going to do is finish up our kaftan with some ties and the sides. I'm trying to find a place to put this ruler where it doesn't reflect the light. Good luck to me. So I have put it on to kind of gauge where I want these ties to be. They are in the front. They are about 14 inches down from the top, the crease that would be the shoulder, and about 18 inches here. In other words, 9 inches from this point here, 9 inches from this point here. It was a rough estimate, but when I tried it on and tried to gauge where I wanted them, this is what I came up with. Now, they are a little longer than the actual outfit. So if I don't tie these, I'll have to kind of pin them up. That is the only crux. I did make them 25, 26 inches long. Just wanted to make sure I had plenty of room to tie them. I've turned it right side out. My little ties are inside. I don't know if I made that clear in the first portion there. But they are inside, already sewn in. And now I want to come 10 inches down from the shoulder and go 7 inches down all the way. Now, I have put some quilt clips down here to kind of keep this hemline in place. So we're going to, let's get the ruler right. We're going to mark our 10-inch mark right there. And then we're going to go in a little bit and do it again. So we have 2 marks to line up. like that. It's kind of light on that. And then we're going to go 7 inches in from the side. And we'll do this on each side. Now that up top is our armhole. And then we're going to go 7 inches down all the way down here. I decided it would be okay if we just went all the way down. If it's a problem when I put it on and it doesn't feel loose enough at the bottom, then I can unstitch it. And we could even do like a curve if we wanted to. There's 100 different ways to do this. There's not a wrong way. Well, there might be a wrong way, but you'd think I'd found it by now. And then we're just gonna finish marking our 7 inches down. All right, and now I'll do the same thing to the other side. I might do it one at a time because this chalk will come off. But essentially we're going to run a seam this way and this way to kind of cut this corner. I am not cutting this off. I want it to stay. I want it to be flowy. I just want to give it a little more shape and also taper up the sleeve hole. So we're going to pin this together just to make sure we don't move it. And we're lined up on both sides. And then we're going to go sew. Okay, everybody, easy peasy caftan. I think it came out pretty cute. I've got the ties tied, so it's a little more fitted at the top with them tied. You don't have to use ties. You don't have to put ties on it. There are probably 100 different ways to make one of these, but the pre-pattern collar helped a little for me. I just like that kind of process. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, share, let me know what you think, and I will catch y'all on the flip side of our next project.